Is my slide shared?
We don't see it yet.
Okay. Sorry, wait a minute. Sorry. So I can.
Yeah, we can actually we have the slides on our side, so we're gonna put them up.
Okay, so can you share?
Sure, no problem.
Sorry.
Okay, there we go.
Thank you. Hello everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Eiichiro Hata, a partner of Atsumi and Sakai, and I am pleased to have this opportunity to talk to you all. So before getting down to the main topics, please let me briefly introduce my firm, Atsumi and Sakai. So please go to the next slide. So Atsumi and Sakai is a Japanese law firm based in Tokyo with overseas offices in London and Frankfurt. We provide one-stop legal services to both domestic and international clients. But among other practice areas, the finance is historically our main practice for a long period of time. And in particular, we are advising the fintech and asset management related business in recent years. And we are providing the advice on the applicable regulations and assistance of foreign players entry into the Japanese market, such as setting up entity, employment-related matters, and also assistance in licensing and registration process. So given such features of our firm's practice, we also align with the FinCity.Tokyo as supporting member. So as of today, we are only law firm member of FinCity.Tokyo. So it is a very great pleasure that we can help for foreign financial service providers who is interested in Japanese market. So can you go to the next slide, please? Today, I'm going to briefly introduce recent key legal update on the payment service framework and also financial intermediary services as listed as 2 bullet points here, both of which I think are relevant to the fintech or financial service providers who are thinking of doing business in Japan. And if I had time, I also wanted to mention the registration for asset management related businesses, also incorporation related update. But unfortunately, I think I do not have enough time for that today. So I'm going to focus on the first 2 points and also so firstly, could you please go to the next slide, please? One more, please. Thank you. So firstly, I'm going to talk about recent update on a legal framework of payment services. This slide is English translation of the FSA's material of the amendment of the Payment Service Act, which is enacted in June this year. The graphic in the upper side of this slide illustrate the current legal framework of payment services, and the bottom part shows the framework after the amendment. In the current framework, the many of payment service providers in Japan are operating its businesses based on the registration of a fund transfer service provider under the Payment Service Act. But under this registration, only money transfer up to 1 million Japanese yen per transfer is allowed. So for money transfer exceeding 1 million Japanese yen, banking license is required. However, in the industry, it has been pointed out that there are needs for money transfer higher of the higher amount, including overseas remittance. On the other hand, it was also pointed out that the registration of the smaller amount category with the less stringent regulation would be helpful for many of payment service provider, because in reality, many of payment service provider are only handling small amount, such as tens of thousands of yen. So by the amendment of the Payment Service Act, there will be 3 categories of the registered fund transfer service providers. First, as in the right side of the bottom of the slide, a large amount category can handle money transfer over 1 million yen per transaction. In this category, there will be no statutory limit on the maximum amount per transfer, but in exchange, not mere registration, but authorization on a business plan from the regulator will be required. And also, they will be subject to stricter regulation on acceptance of funds than current regulation. And so the service provider may receive users' funds only if there is a specific transfer instruction from users. And also they need to immediately transfer users' funds as per their instruction, which means retention of users' funds will be strictly restricted under this category. Second, the present category of money transfer up to 1 million Japanese yen will be kept as is, with certain adjustment in its regulation regarding acceptance of funds. And in addition, there will be another category that can handle only small amount with certain streamlined regulations in way of securing assets required as user protection. To give some further details about this point, all of fund transfer service providers under the current framework, in order to secure its assets to protect users' interests, deposit with a deposit office or bank guarantee or trust with a trust bank is required, at least for more than 10 million yen. But after the amendment, instead of these ways of securing assets, managing users' funds in a separate bank account will be allowed for the small amount category. The exact amount of this small amount category will be fixed in a cabinet order later, but now it is expected to be 50,000 yen. There are also some other changes in the regulations of the fund transfer service provider, but I could not address to them today. So by this amendment, payment service providers can choose appropriate category of registration depending on the amount of transfer they would handle under its business model without being subject to too much regulations. And this amendment will be in effect in the first half of 2021. Then another key legal update. Could you please skip the 2 pages? Thank you. Please go to the next. Thank you. Another key legal update which I introduced today is brokerage business in financial sectors, this slide is based on the FSA's material, again, on the amendment of the Act on the provision of financial services. Under the current framework, as the left side of the slide illustrates, when any financial service provider would like to operate intermediary business between users and financial institutions such as banks, securities companies, or insurance companies, they need to obtain all necessary licenses or registration under each of applicable laws. In addition, under the current framework, such service provider or of intermediary business needs to be subcontracted by specific financial institutions and subject to guidance from such financial institutions. It has been pointed out that such current legal framework is quite burdensome for service providers who is going to do intermediary businesses in multiple financial sectors or with multiple financial institutions. Actually, there have been quite a few cases where financial service providers have obtained all of these intermediary businesses license and registration under the current legal framework. The amendment of the law this year, we enacted this year, we create a new category of financial brokers as in the right side of the slide, which is one-stop financial brokers that cover multiple financial sectors and independent of the financial institutions. With this single registration of a financial broker, you can provide intermediary services of banking, securities, and insurance, as well as money lending, without being affiliated with any specific financial institutions. On the other hand, specific range of financial services or financial instruments that financial broker can handle under this new scheme will be limited to those with low risks in terms of customer protection. Details for such limitation will be determined in the cabinet order, but from the discussion in the working group for the amendment, for example, ordinary deposit will be included, but foreign currency deposit or structured deposit will not be included, I guess. By this amendment for creation of financial brokers, it is expected that the financial brokers with the single registration can respond to users' needs for variety of financial services provided by a number of financial institutions from multiple financial sectors. This amendment will be enforced in late 2021, and further details regulations are to be determined in the cabinet order by then. So we need to continue to pay close attention to the development in the regulations. I think I'm going to running out my time, but finally, please let me skip to, could you please skip 2 or 3 pages? Next, please. So finally, I would briefly mention that recent change in the changes in update in incorporation matters. I just quickly mentioned that it is getting faster for foreign business operator to set up entity in Japan in these days, with various effort by the regulators. In our experience, there is a case where the registration for incorporation was completed within a day from the application. I could say that it's getting faster for foreign companies to get setting up the company in Japan. So I think I'm running out of my time. So look at the questions.
Okay, thank you so much for your presentation.